Something quietly significant just happened with Aptera Motors, and most people completely missed it. It didn't come with a flashy announcement. There was no press conference, no bold headlines splashed across the financial news. It came through a couple of low-key updates, a few photos posted online, and a detail so easy to gloss over that most casual observers scrolled right past it. But if you've been following Aptera closely, if you understand what this company is trying to build and what has been standing in its way, then you know exactly why this moment matters. Because what just changed isn't a small operational tweak. It's a signal. A signal that Aptera is moving from theoretical to real. From planning to doing, and the decisions they're quietly making right now could define whether this vehicle actually reaches the road or becomes another promising EV concept that never made it out of the prototype stage. So let's slow down, look at the details, and talk about what's actually happening. First, the stock, and why it's more interesting than it looks. The stock has been holding steady around the $8 mark. Now, for a lot of people watching early-stage EV companies, that number might feel underwhelming. You want momentum, you want a breakout, you want the kind of movement that tells you the market is paying attention. But here's the thing, stabilization at this stage is actually meaningful. The expected trajectory for a company in Aptera's position was a slow, grinding decline as the market waited for hard proof of progress, followed by an eventual uptick when concrete news started landing. What's happened instead is that the floor has held. The stock isn't falling off a cliff. It's holding its ground while the company does its work behind the scenes. And two pieces of news dropped recently that start to explain why. One arrived on November 7th. Another came just days later. Neither one caused a dramatic spike in trading volume. The numbers were relatively modest both times. But low volume doesn't mean low importance. Sometimes the most consequential developments get the quietest initial reactions. The market processes things slowly. The people who understand what they're looking at, though, they see it immediately. So what exactly did these updates tell us? Let's start from the beginning, because to understand why this is a big deal, you need to understand the manufacturing puzzle Aptera has been trying to solve. The problem with building a car that doesn't look like other cars. Aptera isn't a normal vehicle. It doesn't have the same structure, the same aerodynamic profile, or the same production assumptions as anything else being manufactured at scale today. It's a three-wheeled solar electric vehicle with a body shape engineered for extreme efficiency, and that unusual shape creates unusual manufacturing challenges. One of the biggest challenges has always been the body itself. The outer shell, the structural frame, the chassis, all of it has to be precision-built, lightweight, and strong enough to pass rigorous safety and performance validation. Getting that right is not simple. And for a startup with limited resources, figuring out how to produce those components reliably, at scale, at a cost that makes sense, that's one of the central problems you have to solve before you can ever talk seriously about delivering vehicles to customers. To solve that problem, Aptera turned to partners. One of the most significant is a company called CoAmp, based in Italy. If you're not familiar with them, CoAmp is a serious operation. They're a large manufacturing group with deep expertise in chassis work, metalwork, and plastics. They have an in-house foundry capable of multiple types of die casting. And that word, die casting, is important. So let's make sure we understand what it actually means. Die casting, and why the method Aptera chooses, matters more than you think. Die casting is a manufacturing process where molten metal is injected into a mold to create a specific shape. Sounds simple enough. But how you inject that metal, under what pressure, at what speed, using what approach, changes everything about the quality, size, cost, and structural integrity of the finished part. There are two primary methods relevant here: high-pressure die casting and low-pressure die casting. High-pressure die casting is fast. It's cost-effective. It moves metal into the mold quickly and allows for rapid production cycles. That makes it attractive for mass manufacturing environments where you need to produce large quantities at low cost. The trade-off is that the speed of the process can create uneven flow inside the mold. That unevenness can lead to tiny internal pockets of air, called porosity, inside the finished casting. Those air pockets weaken the part. And because of the way high-pressure casting works, you typically can't heat-treat the part afterward to strengthen it. So high-pressure casting is excellent for smaller, simpler components, cross-members, door frames, dashboard panels, shock towers, things that don't carry the primary structural load of the vehicle. Low-pressure die casting is a different story. It's slower. It costs more per cycle. But the metal flows more evenly and consistently into the mold, which means less porosity, better structural integrity, and the ability to produce larger, more complex parts. After low-pressure casting, you can also apply heat treatment to further strengthen the component. This is the method used for structural parts, complete subframes, partial subframes, load-bearing elements that the entire vehicle depends on. Given that Aptera needs large structural castings, the kind of parts that form the foundation of the vehicle, the assumption has been that they would lean toward low-pressure die casting for those critical components. But there's also a third possibility in play: Gigacasting. This is a newer technique, popularized in the broader EV world, where extremely large front or rear underbody sections are cast as single unified pieces rather than assembled from multiple smaller parts. Done correctly, Gigacasting reduces part count dramatically, speeds up assembly, cuts weight, and improves structural consistency. If Comp is applying this approach to Aptera's battery compartment and underbody sections, that would be genuinely significant. It would mean Aptera is adopting some of the most advanced manufacturing techniques in the EV space from the very beginning, not retrofitting them later after years of legacy processes. The frames currently being used in validation vehicles are welded or machined, functional for testing purposes, but heavier than the final design targets. Once the die-cast frames from Comp arrive and are incorporated, the validation vehicles will finally reflect the actual weight and structural characteristics of a production intent Aptera. That's when the real efficiency data starts to become meaningful. That's when the numbers that matter, range, energy consumption, performance, can be validated with confidence. And according to the November 7th update, those cast frames are already built. They're already on their way. They're in transit right now, heading from Italy to Aptera's facility in Carlsbad, California. That's not a future plan. That's happening. Now here's where the story gets really interesting. Because the second update, the one that came just a few days later, revealed something that almost nobody was expecting. Something that on the surface sounds like a minor logistical detail, but when you think through the implications, it reshapes the entire picture of how Aptera is going to scale. For a long time, the plan for Aptera's body assembly went like this. The composite body panels, what Aptera calls the banks, were going to be assembled in Italy by a company called CPC Group. CPC has serious expertise in composite body construction. They know how to work with the materials. They know how to build these structures correctly. The original thinking was that it made sense to let experts with deep experience handle this critical step and then ship the completed bodies from Italy to California for final vehicle assembly. That logic made sense on a quality level. CPC is good at what they do, and having them assemble the bodies meant Aptera could rely on proven expertise rather than building that capability from scratch internally. But there was always a problem hiding in that plan. A very practical, very physical problem. Once a body is assembled, once it becomes a full three-dimensional structure, it takes up an enormous amount of space. You can't stack them. You can't collapse them. You can't pack them efficiently. A fully assembled Aptera body is essentially a large, oddly shaped object that you have to ship across an ocean. And when you're loading shipping containers, space is money. The volumetric efficiency of shipping fully assembled bodies is terrible. You might fit 4, maybe 5, maybe 6 bodies into a standard shipping container before you've used up all available space. Mostly air, mostly wasted room around the awkward curves and angles of the assembled shell. For early validation vehicles, that inefficiency is manageable. You're not shipping hundreds of units, you're shipping a handful. The cost is a rounding error in the overall development budget, but for scale production, for when Aptera is trying to fill orders and deliver vehicles to thousands of customers, that shipping inefficiency becomes a serious constraint. It drives up per-unit logistics costs. It slows delivery timelines. It creates a bottleneck right at the moment when you need everything to flow smoothly. Somewhere along the way, someone at Aptera looked at this situation and made a different call. The decision that changes everything about how Aptera scales. Instead of assembling the bodies in Italy, Aptera is now assembling them in Carlsbad. The composite panels, all the individual pieces that make up the body, are being shipped flat or in their unassembled forms from Italy to California, and then they're being joined together right there at Aptera's own facility. Think about what that does to the shipping math. Those same 9 bodies that would have required multiple full shipping containers when assembled, in their unassembled state, all of those panels could fit in a fraction of the space. The volumetric efficiency jumps dramatically. You're shipping material, not air. You're shipping parts, not finished structures that take up 10 times the physical footprint. And the proof is right there in the photos Aptera released. You can see it clearly. The Carlsbad facility has a significant jig set up. It's a serious piece of tooling. A large metal structure with sliders and locking levers that allow workers to position panels precisely and hold them under pressure while bonding agents cure. It's exactly the kind of equipment you'd need to assemble composite body panels with the accuracy and consistency that a vehicle program demands. More tellingly, the people working with that jig are wearing CPC uniforms. Technicians from the Italian company have traveled to California specifically to install the jig, verify that it's functioning correctly, and train Aptera's own team on exactly how to use it. This is knowledge transfer in action. CPC isn't just sending hardware, they're sending expertise. They're making sure that Aptera's people learn the process correctly, so that once those Italian technicians head home, the Carlsbad team can keep building with the same precision and quality. That's how you build internal manufacturing capability. Not by outsourcing forever, but by learning from the best and then owning the process yourself. What else is being onshored and why it matters for the long term? The body assembly isn't the only manufacturing activity moving to Carlsbad. According to the latest update, battery packs and solar integration are also being handled at the California facility. This means that a significant portion of what makes an Aptera, the body, the battery, the solar system, is now being assembled domestically, under Aptera's own roof, by Aptera's own team. That's a meaningful shift in strategy. Early-stage vehicle startups often rely heavily on outside partners and overseas suppliers simply because they don't yet have the scale or infrastructure to do everything in-house. And that reliance makes sense at the beginning. But as you grow, as you develop internal expertise, as you build out your facility and your team, bringing more of that work in-house gives you control. It gives you flexibility. It lets you iterate faster when something needs to change. It reduces your dependency on third-party timelines and shipping schedules that you can't fully control. The photos of Aptera's Carlsbad facility right now show something that looks genuinely active. There are pallets everywhere. There are parts arriving daily. Workers are on the floor assembling things. This isn't a company sitting still, waiting for something to happen. This is a company in motion, quietly, steadily building the infrastructure and the processes and the team knowledge that scale production requires. And here's what's worth sitting with for a moment. Most of what you're seeing in those photos has apparently been building for weeks. The activity didn't just start when the press release went out. It was already happening. The assembly jig was being set up. The parts were arriving. The CPC technicians were already there. Aptera just hadn't told us yet. Which raises an obvious question: what else is happening in that facility right now that we don't know about yet? The bigger picture and what this moment actually represents. Here is the honest summary of where things stand. Aptera is assembling its next validation vehicle, the one that will finally use production intent die-cast frames, the one that will reflect the actual weight targets, the one whose efficiency data will carry real meaning. The cast components are in transit from Italy. The body panels are being assembled in-house in Carlsbad. The battery packs are being built on site. The team is learning the processes. The jigs are set up and running. This is not glamorous. It's not the kind of news that generates enormous trading volume or sends the stock soaring in a single session. But it's the kind of progress that actually matters, the hard, structural, unglamorous work of turning a compelling design into a manufacturable vehicle. The companies that succeed in this space aren't always the ones with the most dramatic announcements. They're the ones who solve the right problems in the right order, make smart decisions when faced with constraints, and build the kind of internal capability that lets them scale without breaking. Shifting body assembly from Italy to California, on the surface, a small logistical call, is exactly the kind of smart, practical, forward-looking decision that separates the companies who eventually deliver from the ones who don't. The validation vehicle coming together right now, with production intent frames and an increasingly capable in-house assembly operation, is the next major milestone on that road. When it's complete, when the efficiency data comes in, when the numbers reflect what the engineers have been designing toward, that's when the larger conversation about Aptera really starts to shift. Until then, watch the details. Watch the parts arriving. Watch the jigs filling up. Watch the pallets stacking and unstacking in that Carlsbad facility. Because the story isn't being told in press releases. It's being told in parts on a factory floor, and right now, those parts are moving.